Today, on August 22, 2025, a critical question hangs over Europe. It is a question that leaders have debated for months. Will European nations send their soldiers into Ukraine? For a long time, this idea seemed impossible. It was a line that most countries were unwilling to cross, but the situation has changed. The long and brutal war has forced a new conversation. European leaders are now openly discussing a military deployment. This would happen after a peace agreement is reached. The goal is to provide Ukraine with strong security guarantees. It is a way to ensure that Russia cannot launch another attack in the future. This is a pivotal moment for the continent. The discussions are gaining momentum at the highest levels of government. In recent days, summits have taken place in Europe and in the United States. Leaders are trying to create a unified plan. As leaders discuss sending troops, military experts are sounding an alarm. Colonel André Wüstner is the head of the German Armed Forces Association. He represents over 200,000 soldiers. His assessment is blunt and sobering. He believes a meaningful mission would require a very large number of troops. He estimates that major countries like Germany, France, and Britain would each need to send at least 10,000 soldiers. This is not a small peacekeeping force. This is a significant, long-term military commitment that would stretch their armies to the limit. European armies are not ready. They are struggling to meet existing NATO commitments. In response to these challenges, a new plan is taking shape. European leaders are working quickly to finalize a package of security guarantees for Ukraine. This effort received a major boost after a White House summit on August 18th. At that meeting, U.S. President Donald Trump signaled his support for a European-led initiative. The deployment of European troops is a central part of this framework. The current proposals involve sending troops from about 10 different countries. The United Kingdom and France are expected to be key contributors to this force. These nations have some of the most capable militaries in Europe. They would likely form the backbone of the mission. While Europe discusses sending troops, the United States has made its own position very clear. Washington will support the mission, but it will not send American soldiers to Ukraine. This decision shapes the entire plan. It means that the military force inside Ukraine will be exclusively European. This is a significant shift. For decades, the U.S. has been the primary military power in any major European security operation. However, the U.S. is not stepping away completely. Washington has pledged to provide crucial support in other ways. It will help with intelligence sharing. It will provide advanced surveillance technology to monitor Ukraine's borders. It will continue to be a major supplier of weapons and military equipment to Ukrainian forces. And importantly, there's discussion of the U.S. providing air defense capabilities. As Europe and the United States work on their security plan, Russia is watching closely. The Kremlin has responded with a clear and firm warning. It will not tolerate NATO forces in Ukraine under any circumstances. This is a coalition of European countries, not officially a NATO operation. From Russia's perspective, Western troops on Ukrainian soil are a direct threat. This strong opposition raises the risk of dangerous escalation, even if a peace agreement is signed. Russia's objection is a central challenge. European leaders say a military presence is needed to deter Russia. Russia calls it a major provocation. Stakes are high. The mission aims to prevent future war, but could itself become a flashpoint. Russian warnings aren't mere rhetoric. Experts like Colonel Wüstner warn a weak, poorly planned mission could increase risk. As discussions continue, military experts are outlining what a credible European force might look like. This is not just a vague idea. There are concrete proposals. A report from the Center for European Policy Analysis lays out one plan. It calls the concept an ESFU, a European security force for Ukraine, and says it must be strong and mobile. The report suggests building the force around 5 combat brigades, armored brigades with tanks, mechanized brigades with infantry fighting vehicles. The ground force would not operate alone. It would need significant support, squadrons of attack helicopters, transport aircraft to move troops and supplies quickly, a contingent of fighter jets to secure the skies. Together, these elements would create a powerful, flexible military presence. The primary role of this force would be deterrence. It would be deployed along a demilitarized contact line, creating a buffer zone between forces. The discussions over sending European troops to Ukraine have brought Europe to a crossroads. The decisions made in the coming days and weeks will have lasting consequences for the security of the entire continent. For Ukraine, a European military presence could be the ultimate guarantee of its sovereignty and a shield against future aggression. It would allow the country to focus on recovery and reconstruction, knowing it is not alone. For Europe, this is a defining moment. It is an opportunity to move beyond economic and diplomatic power and become a true security provider in its own neighborhood. The next steps will be critical. Leaders must first reach a final agreement on the security plan. Then comes the immense challenge of implementation. European armies will have to mobilize, equip, and deploy thousands of soldiers. All of this must be done in full view of a hostile and watchful Russia. Despite the progress in talks, many questions remain unanswered. How will Russia ultimately react once troops are on the ground? And perhaps most importantly, will the political unity in Europe hold if the mission faces challenges or casualties? The path forward is filled with risk and uncertainty. The plan is bold, but it is also fraught with peril. Ultimately, this is a test of Europe's resolve. The world is now waiting to see what Europe will decide. The choice it makes will signal what kind of power it intends to be in the 21st century and will determine the future of peace and stability on its eastern frontier.